Hello everybody, welcome to this channel. Let's dig in teaching. In the previous video, we mentioned the importance of teaching vocabulary. In this one, we're going to talk about main factors in teaching lexes. Let's see what are those main factors. There are 4 main factors: focusing on the usage, active learning, appropriateness, denotation, and connotation. Focus on the usage. There are 3 items: meaningful context, visual aids, and relevant exercises. What is meaningful context? It's actually a text or a situation that the words can be naturally used. You can prepare them for your students so that the learners will understand how native speakers utilize those words. Visual aids. They are pictures or videos to emphasize on the usage and the meaning of those words in real-life situations. You can also add subtitles to videos so that the learners pay attention more and listen carefully to the videos to figure out how and when those words are being used. Relevant exercises. Now that the students have seen the usage in a meaningful context and video, it's time to practice. But what kind of practice? It has to be relevant. For practicing, we have 3 levels. First, you have to model the practice, then prepare a guided practice, and at last, an independent practice. You, as a teacher, can use listenings of conversations and videos as a model of your practice. And then for a guided practice, you can write down some fill-in-the-blank sentences on the board so that the students work in pairs those sentences with each other and to recognize which word is being used in which sentence. For an independent and final practice, you can give your learners some ideas and topics related to the vocabulary has been taught and want them to make new conversation in pairs or in groups. All in all, focus on the words that the native speakers use it a lot in daily life. Before teaching any lexes, ask yourself, is this the most natural word that I can use to teach the content? Does this word come in real life situation? This is the best way to recognize if you're really focusing on the usage or not. Don't forget, you've got to deepen the vocabulary. Just teaching them is not enough. This can be done by relevant and real situation exercises. Alright, let's move on to active learning. First, what is active learning? Active learning is a method of teaching that involves learners in their learning process by some activities like thinking, creating, and discussing. In this process, learners use their cognitive skills such as solving problems and proposing solutions. In this method, students will have more confidence to talk, produce language, and use the language actively outside of the classroom. Do you think you use active learning in teaching lexes? Let's find out. Let me ask you some questions to see if you need to change your lexes teaching style or not. The first question is, do your students involve in learning? Do they answer your questions? The second one, do you as a teacher get the feedback that you want? The third one, do your students meet the lesson objectives? Or to say better, do you have any lesson plan for it? Because you can get what you don't aim for. Next one, can your students use the words you teach in a sentence? Or can they identify the synonyms and antonyms of a single word? If your answers for most of these questions is no, then probably you need to make some changes. And the last question that you have to ask yourself to find out which dimension of your teaching needs to change is that what concepts or what topics do your students struggle with the most based on the observation in class, student responses, quizzes, or test courses and other assignments? Now, you might have this question that how to build up active teaching approach. Learners need a safe and open environment. They need to make sure it's okay to make mistakes. When students make mistakes, let them self-correct themselves. In this way, they see there is no punishment, and your ultimate goal is their language acquisition. In your lesson plan, consider some activities and ask yourself this question: why am I putting this activity into my lesson plan? Make sure to set a goal for the activity so that you can manage the class in a specific way. Try to use action verbs for your goals to measure how much you've done your plan at the end of the class. Choose the right exercises. Model the exercise first, then choose a guided practice, and finally give students an independent practice. Make sure your exercises are aligned with your objectives. Ask the right questions. Don't just ask learners, "Did you understand?" Instead, ask questions to measure the student's comprehension. For example, ask them to use the word in a sentence. Choose the right way for the assessment. You can use formative assessment instead of summative assessments. They are more effective and the learners can measure their understanding of the words. Appropriateness. What elements should you as a teacher consider in your teaching lexis? There are two types of elements: the one that refers to you as a teacher and the other that refers to the learners. For the learners, you have to consider their level, beginner, intermediate, or advanced, their gender, girl or boy, their age, are they kids, are they teenagers, are they young adults, or are they middle-aged? And you have to consider their culture. Culture can affect on the way that you behave in the class and can affect on your teaching style. The elements that refers to the teacher are energy, workload, and tools. Always consider energy and your workload, because if you don't have enough energy, you just can easily change your teaching style and choose a style for that session that takes less energy. And if your workload is too much, you may easily experience teacher burnout. So, my suggestion is that make time for yourself to avoid teacher burnout. Knowing what tools you have is always important. Tools can save your time, can save your energy, and can decrease your workload. You'll see lots of different tools in the next videos. Denotation and connotation. Denotation is the literal meaning of a word, and connotation is the emotional meaning. One way to teach denotation and connotation is to teach students how to use a dictionary and how to look up a word in dictionary. Always know the part of speech of the words you're going to teach. Morphology refers to the idea that how this word changes through different parts of speech. For higher levels, as a teacher, you must know the morphology of the words. Prepare context for connotation, because not all of the words in the context are used in their literal meaning. In the next video, we're going to talk about how to make the meaning of the words clear. Hope you enjoyed this video. If so, don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.